Michigan. My name is Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside, and I'm sure you know this by now because you probably had the opportunity. If you didn't watch it live, you probably watched it on a replay that the Tigers were just incredible again yesterday. I mean, how do you look at 3 games any differently than what this team has done from the previous, month, right? 6-22, and then suddenly on down in Tampa, they get the right remedy, and somehow they're able to jump on board. They'll have today off. They'll host Seattle tomorrow, and Seattle is a team that right now, as we said yesterday, one of the hottest teams in all of baseball, winning 8 of their last 10, and they lead the West, but they're only 3 games over 500 overall. But the Tigers are coming off a 7-2 win over the Rays. It's their first sweep since mid-April when they broomed Kansas City. Dylan Dingler continues to be, look, I don't want to get too hyperbolic here. Has he been their best player, overall player? I'm talking about defense, I'm talking about hitting, I'm talking about hitting for power, all those things. Has he been their best player so far this year? He was definitely their best player. He was the best player in the series in Tampa. He goes 6 for 13 with 9 RBIs. Yeah, you're going to say he's their best player. He's got 14 bombs.
Yeah,
that's a career high for him already.
The power really adds to it for him for that argument to make it that he is the best player. I mean, I think with how hot Riley Green was when everybody else was kind of struggling, you could maybe say that he's right there too. But Dylan Dingler's been really good, and I mean, it shows what a difference the power can make in this lineup if they're hitting the ball out of the ballpark, right?
Well, it shows you how important it is to be able to have that balance of power from the right side. And this is what we said before the season began. We said when this team needed right-handed power, you were hoping Torkelson would give it to you. He has not so far this year. You were hoping Dingler. I said I'd be happy between 20 and 25 homers, if you recall. Now, the trade deadline is August 3rd this year, not at the end of July, but it's August 3rd. And you go, you're June, what is it, June 3rd, June 4th? It's June 4th today, Thursday, June 4th. Wake up. And you still got 2 months before the All-Star break, and he might have 20 bombs. So that tells you something. So he leads his team in homers. He leads this team in RBIs. When you look at the on-base percentage, that's a Riley Green favored stat. But I think Dingler leads this team in slugging, and he leads the team in or he's second to Green in OPS. When you look at WAR, wins above replacement, he is second in that category too. Kevin McGonigal's first on the Tigers. So in today's day and age, average doesn't matter. And you and I think, are coming around to that. All right. It's not that I don't give credit where credit is due. Riley Green batting .311 is impressive. Okay. Kevin McGonigal batting 300, 290 right now. I think he's at 288 yesterday, is pretty damn impressive. But Dingler's power has been exceptional. On top of that, and this gets lost, I think, too often. On top of that, he's managing a pitching staff, at least yesterday, led by Troy Melton, who went a career-high 8 innings. He'd never gone more than 7. Twice he had gone 7 innings. He goes 8 innings. He picks up his second win in as many decisions this year. And Dingler has, Baez's return, Torres' return, you stabilize the lineup. So you miss one guy at the top of the order, that's a really big deal. He gets on base, you got guys to drive him in.
Yeah,
if and when he gets on base.
That made a huge difference yesterday in the game because, you're talking about it was back and forth.
2 days.
Those first couple innings, it was like Tigers had the 1-run lead. They gave it right back up, right? Because Melton's kind of struggled actually a little bit to start, which is what's funny about him going 8 innings. And really impressive.
But he fought through it.
To go 8 innings was extremely impressive.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. Like, I want to see guys at times. I don't freak out when people struggle because I want to see what they're made of. And I think Troy Melton has got the goods
for sure.
and I tweeted this out yesterday, I think he's a top-end rotation guy. Now, here's the debate, and we shouldn't necessarily focus on this a whole lot, but it does have fans wondering, and it's fair. How do you allow Troy Melton to throw 94 pitches and get through 8 innings when the day before, Cater Montero, who was cruising, right? He was all over it. Or that was the first game. I'm sorry, the first game of the series, because the day before was Jack Flaherty. The first game of the series, Cater Montero goes out there and was dealing, and that was the 10-9 win. He was dealing through just 6 innings. Or wait, was that?
You're thinking of the end of the Chicago series.
I'm thinking of the end of the Chicago.
Yeah, the last game they lost.
Yeah, when he threw 65 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, the end of the Chicago series, because I think Ty Madden started the first game in Tampa. Yep. Yeah. So it was, and people are like, well, how do you pull a guy after 6 innings and 65 pitches, and he hadn't given up a run? He had only allowed 2 hits.
With the Tigers' current state of their bullpen and how it's been.
Agreed. And I get that totally. And I think it's a fair critique.
Like, think about how nice that was yesterday, like to have Melton come back out there, and I was way more confident that, I mean, obviously they had a big lead again, but I was way more confident it was going to stay put with him coming in than anybody they could have pulled out of the bullpen.
Yes.
Just because how he was pitching.
The fewer arms I see coming out of the bullpen, the better off I am.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So I think that's what a lot of fans were wondering, what the hell is going on here?
But going back to Dingler really quick with like the value of the home run, like you were talking about, like that game was going back and forth yesterday. I'm sure getting that 3-run.
Well, early on it was.
Early
on it was bad.
And like obviously it was like Melton was struggling to throw first pitch strikes and stuff, and then they get that big home run and that big lead. You got to think that helps him a little bit too, and he goes back out there just like, mentally. He's
for
like,
sure.
He's like, these guys got me today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the other thing, Andy. I mean, it's a big deal for a starting pitcher to get some run support. That's a really important part. And look at the top 5 in the order. The top 5 in the order went 10 for 22. Okay. Tampa, this is not taking anything away from what the Tigers did, because double thumbs up for what they were able to accomplish. Tampa has lost 8 of 10. They have been swept in 2 of their last 3 series when they hadn't been swept all season long. So there might be people in Tampa starting to wonder just a little bit, is our team really that good? The Yankees have crept to within 1 game. What did we say the other day? This is a challenging time for the Tigers. Why? Because if you look at their schedule, they are playing Seattle, Cleveland, Houston, New York, Houston and New York, with a couple other teams splashed in there this month. Could be a turning point. We got to take a quick time out. We're back with a lot more headlines, including the NBA Finals, which was unbelievable last night, and the start of a golf tournament that might test your, golf knowledge a little bit. This is X's and Bros on a Tullymore Thursday.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Our worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contest or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks, or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know if there's been a huge shift. I mean, obviously we enjoy winning, and it's more fun when we win. But we were bringing it every day. We were prepared to play every single day. Obviously, I haven't been here for the full stretch of it, but from the time I've been here, it really hasn't been all that different. So it's obviously really good to get the results, and we're playing some good baseball. Obviously, these last 3 games, and hopefully it keeps rolling.
So Troy Melton, after the victory yesterday, good answer. We got to be careful. You know, they beat a really good team in the American League. Before they played the Rays, here's what I would ask you. Andy, before they played the Rays, I ask you, who's the best team in the American League? Who would you have said?
Yankees.
You wouldn't have said Tampa. And I'm not taking anything away from the Tigers any stretch at all, because I don't care who you're beating. I don't care if you were playing the Chicago White Sox. I don't care if you're playing the Kansas City Royals. I don't care who's on your schedule. If you're beating that team on the road, you're sweeping that team on the road, that's a hell of a job by you. And I mean that. I said that when Cleveland came in and swept Detroit. A hell of a job by them. All right? Sweeping a team is really hard. We look at just the numbers and the statistics on a spreadsheet, and we think, well, this is supposed to happen. No, it's really hard. Hard to do that against one team when they've got the scouting reports on you going in and the adjustments that's taking place and all that other stuff. So that's not a knock. But I'm not going to sit there and go, okay, this team is fixed. I'm not going to sit there and claim they're off to a 3-0 start in the month of June. They have half as many wins in 4 days in the month of June than they had the entire month of May, and say everything's going to be all right. No. There needs to be more proof. And as I said at the end of May, you go 22-6, you're only at 500. How does that change? Listen, it may change your mindset about the trade deadline. It may change your mindset about Tarek Skubal. Tarek Skubal comes back. There's no question they're going to get better. Everybody knew they were going to get better when the injured players come back. Gleyber Torres, Troy Melton, eventually it's Tarek Skubal. Absolutely. Solidifies so many things. Does that mean that they're better than everybody else? No, it doesn't. And it shouldn't hide the flaws that this team is experiencing. But you can feel pretty damn good about how you jumpstart this month. Let's see what happens when they play this challenging part of the schedule. That's why you go game by game. If AJ Hinch is allowed to talk about it in that sense from his team's perspective, we're allowed to say the same thing when it comes to our perspective about this team. There's no sense in getting a whole, super hyperbolic about this stuff. All right. The last 15 games of May, the Tigers scored 37 runs. The last half of the last month, they scored 37 runs. The first 3 games in June, they scored 25 runs. It's pretty odd. 37 hits, 25 runs. Okay. Gleyber Torres, on base percentage close to 400. Kevin McGonigal, on base percentage close to 400. At the top of the order means there are chances to drive in runs. All right. And by the way, for those of you who don't think, I talked about Dylan Dangler, and he's been awesome. He's on pace for 31 doubles. He's on pace for 36 homers. That'd be really impressive. He's on pace for over 110 RBIs. He's on pace for an OPS of well over 800. Plus, he's a Gold Glove catcher. That's pretty damn good. Hell of a job. All right, especially the latter part. But Riley Green, so far, it's just a few games, but his numbers overall are really good too. He's got 324. He's got 13 homers. Okay. In June, his numbers in June. In his career, he loves the month of June. In the month of June, in Riley Green's career, if you go to Baseball Reference, he's batting 3.25. He's got 13 homers, and he's got 48 runs driven in 66 career games. That's pretty flipping good, man. I almost swore right there. I'll take that, and I think you will take that as well. All right, NBA playoffs last night, game 1 of the NBA Finals. The Knicks come from 14 points down in the second half to beat the Spurs 105-95. I'm sure you watch this. The talk afterwards was about Victor Wembanyama being tired. Did you agree? Did you think he looked spent? And if you do, this is where, and it doesn't get talked about nearly enough, I don't think, this is where a lot of people feel like the experience matters most. It's mentally, no question. Where's the experience from New York?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't play in
the
finals, no.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and San Antonio, maybe it's a playoff thing. Folks, because this is what people told me the other day. Hey, at least New York has been there. Okay. San Antonio just beat OKC. OKC's got plenty of playoff experience. Remember, they had to go through the rough ride before they got to the finals and won the finals, and everybody said, this is the next dynasty, and then San Antonio clips that bird, doesn't it? So I'm a little confused at what we mean by you've got to have the experience, because the Knicks don't have the experience. They got some playoff experience, but not NBA Finals experience. And has their experience recently been so formative to them that they win 12 playoff games in a row? That they've won 7 consecutive road games by double digits? That's what's happening.
Yeah, the Knicks have definitely brushed the old rust argument with people say the time. They've done it time and time again now.
Absolutely.
Playoffs, so.
We've done it. I suppose you can, for every example you have with that, you could use the example of Carolina Hurricanes. They had 11 days off before they played Montreal in the Eastern Conference Finals. Game 1 in Montreal beat them 6-2 before Carolina, then broomed them aside in the next 4. So maybe there's a debate there, okay? There's no for certain situation where you go, no question, I want my team to get pushed to 7 games. San Antonio would say no. I'm worried that my team just swept them. Then you use, New York as an example. Either way, Jalen Brunson was the best player on the floor. He had 30 points, and New York is 6-0 when he scores 30 or more in the playoffs, by the way. Karl Anthony Towns, who people just don't seem to like, 17-12. That's what he had. And I read a statistic that when he was guarding Victor Wembanyama was 2 for 12. And I thought to myself, isn't it interesting? I said it too. I bought into it. Wembanyama went crazy against a much better front court defensive team in OKC than he will get against New York. And I couldn't have been more wrong. Everybody couldn't have been more wrong.
These Knicks players hear it, man. I mean, they know what's going on about. People are saying they're just going to get swept or losing 5. Like they're going to give it their all too, and they definitely did last night. New
York, you look at what Karl Anthony Towns did. He's got 6 double-doubles on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's no matter what you think of him, like personality-wise or whatever, man, he's been impressive on the court. There's no question about that.
Without a doubt. And to your point, I don't even know what people are talking about when it comes to personality-wise. Like what is it we look for in a personality? What is it we want? What do we have to gravitate toward in a player with his personality? Is it so great? I mean, what's the personality of Victor Wembanyama that makes me
want
to root for him? The same guy who said, I think I'm the MVP. The same guy who during the national anthem had his arms crossed like this and his head down. I mean, I don't know. What do you mean about the personality? You know what I mean? Should I really be super pumped for a guy like A.J. Brown who reads a book on the sidelines? Is there a problem there? I mean, that's in football, obviously. I don't know what people mean by that. Here's what I do know. Wembanyama had 26 and 12, but was a miserable 6 for 21 from the floor and had 6 turnovers. If we're going to praise him or we're going to criticize any Piston or anybody with the turnovers, James Harden, could we not do the same thing with Victor Wembanyama, even though he's making a difference in other ways? Some news from hockey and more conversation regarding the NBA Finals in Game 1 last night. Put it in perspective on some things. We'll get to that coming up here on a already busy Totally More Thursday here on X's and Bros, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marx. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marx, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Yeah, he's a gamer, man. He in the biggest moments, he shows up. And that's what MVPs are supposed to do. We put the ball in his hands. We said we were going to live and die with him. And he went and he got it done for us. And that's happened time after time after time after time. He got to his spots and he made plays.
Saw Mike Brown, the head coach of the New York Knicks, after his team's 10-point win on the road in San Antonio, coming from 14 points down in the second half, talking about Jalen Brunson, his team leader, smallest guy on the floor. Look, let me ask you a question. Why don't you like Jalen Brunson? And let's be honest here, okay? Most Pistons fans don't like Jalen Brunson. I don't know if he was guarding De'Aaron Fox on the entire fourth quarter. I didn't necessarily notice it per se. De'Aaron Fox didn't score in the fourth quarter, didn't have an assist in the fourth quarter, had 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter, played 11 minutes in the fourth quarter. We talk about decision-making by coaches. There's a coach who got his team to the NBA Finals. His best player early in the game was Dylan Harper coming off the bench, and that same player who led the team in scoring through 3 quarters only played 3.5 minutes in the fourth. I mean, we talk about AJ Hinch's decision-making with pitching, right? We talk about the rotation for JB Bickerstaff. What about that rotation? That dude led his team to the NBA Finals. They upset the defending world champions, the number 1 seed in the West, on the road in a Game 7. And that's the decision he makes. His best player, scoring-wise. I don't know. You and I, neither one of us know the responsibilities of what the Spurs got going. Okay, so it's not really fair for us to sit there and complain about certain things we consider to be obvious. Okay, but Mitch Johnson, I think it's fair to say he's done a good job this year with his team, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean,
I would hope so. Yeah,
but you're also
they won 62 games.
You also got
come on.
You also got to realize that there's definitely people in Texas talking about the decision you're talking about this morning. You know what I mean?
For sure. You know how many quarters the Spurs won last night at home in Game 1 with Victor Wembanyama, perhaps the greatest player in the league today, arguably. Okay. Do you know how many quarters they won? They won 1. They won the first quarter. They were outscored by 1 in the second quarter, outscored by 7 in the third, and they were outscored by 10 in the fourth. Anyway, Dylan Harper early on was their best player. He ends up playing just 3.5 minutes in the second half. It's not like he turned it over a lot. He had 1 turnover. It's not like he was shooting poorly. He was 6 for 10. Maybe it was defensively because he was a -5.
I'd take 6 for 10.
But if that's the case, then what are you playing Devin Vassell for? He played 36 minutes. What are you playing Stephon Castle for? He played 34 minutes. They were both worse on the floor. If you're looking for scoring, and they needed scoring, the Spurs shot 36% from the floor, so they needed someone to score. What are you taking Dylan Harper out of the game for? That one confused the hell out of me. It really did. But I'm wondering, sorry, I kind of get lost in a couple of different, I think, interesting storylines, like Josh Hart. I mean, his game. I talked about Jalen Brunson. I talked about Karl Anthony Towns because they're one's a double-double, one's the leading scorer. It's unbelievable. Josh Hart only had 3 points, right? Josh Hart was 1 for 5. He was a plus 22 defensively. How good is that? Not bad, right? I would think.
I'd take it.
Would you take it?
I'd take it.
Absolutely. Okay. Also, he had 15 rebounds. He had 6 assists, and he had 4 steals.
Yeah, it's impressive, man.
Okay. So, look, can I give you, in an NBA Finals game, the number of players to have 14-plus rebounds, 6+ assists, and 4 steals? Those are impressive numbers. 2. Larry Bird, 1986, and Josh Hart last night. I mean, the difference was Larry Bird was scored a ton of points. Josh Hart didn't. But I'm just giving you the other stats. That's impressive. But I digress. what is it about a guy like Jalen Brunson, who I greatly respect? He just led his team to a really impressive roadkill to take a 1-0 NBA Finals lead, okay? Last time the Knicks had a lead in the NBA Finals was June 17th, 1994. It was the same day that O.J. Simpson was in a white Bronco being chased by, miles and miles of cop cars. Just to put it in perspective, okay? That's crazy stuff, isn't it? Would you have thought that? Probably not. Anyway, Jalen Brunson is a guy who, I want you to think about this. All these people who, during football season, complain how much certain players make and how they should do a hometown discount. Don't we hear that a lot? We hear that a lot
for sure.
During the Matthew Stafford era. Why doesn't he give them a hometown discount? Why doesn't he take less money to win now? I want to know why my guy is not taking one for the team, quote unquote. 2 summers ago, 2024, Jalen Brunson left $113 million on the negotiating table. He was up for a super max deal. This is what a lot of people might be taking notes right now and saying, Jalen Duren, follow that lead. He was up for a super max deal. He could have signed his 5-year, $270 million contract. Instead, he signed a 4-year deal worth $156.5 million. So he left almost $20 million on the table. I don't care how much money you make. That's still a lot of coin, right? Check that. He left more than that. He left over $100 million. I'm sorry. What did I just say? $113 million. Yeah, $113 million. And he did it on purpose. Now, why did he do that? It allowed OG Anunoby to sign a $215 million deal. It allowed a trade for Mikal Bridges, who really hasn't been worth it, I don't think. He was willing to take one for his team. He sacrificed a lot of money. $113 million is a lot of money, man. And was there strategy there because it signed a 4-year instead of the 5? Absolutely. And he'll probably get his afterwards, okay? Because he can opt out. He can opt out, sign a 4-year, $323 million deal in 2 seasons. In 2028, he can opt out, and I'm sure he will. I would. 4 years, $232 million. Okay? Or based on Sport Track, he could sign a 5-year, $418 million deal the following season. Either way, he's going to make out. And I'm not saying people should be crying for him. But knowing that it's been, what's it been, Andy, 52 years since New York has won a championship?
A long time.
In basketball? Leaving $113 million on the table?
Yeah, that's...
Okay. He looks like the good guy here.
Yeah, 100%.
But those are the guys that we've complained about that we don't have. So where is it?
I mean, everybody in that Pistons series from last year just seemed to talk about the flopping with him. I mean, a lot of players in the NBA do stuff to get fouls. I don't think it's that egregious or obvious to them compared to some of the people in the NBA that, really get called out for it. I don't get it so much. I think he's a really good player. I'd like to have him on my team. I mean, I think his championship, pedigree and winning it and stuff, Villanova definitely instilled that in him, I feel like, going back to those days when he was in college. So, yeah, I mean, it's not really a surprise to me that he's succeeding at this level right now.
So what are the things we often look for in traits for players? You want clutch.
Definitely that.
Last year he led, not this year, but last year he led the league in clutch baskets.
Yeah, whoever in basketball, I mean, we talked about it time and time again, the end of some of these games, the Pistons, you need somebody at the end of the game that can handle the ball and you can trust it. It's right. And the NBA, it's huge.
Isn't going to turn it over.
Exactly.
Right. Isn't afraid to fail. Sets up his guys. Those are all things that this dude does. So those are some of the things that we're looking for. Now, he did turn it over a little bit. He had more turnovers than assists last night. He's more known as a shot maker than he would be as a distributor. Is that fair to say? I mean, that's what I
definitely fair to say.
That's what most people view him as. When you now he does average what?
He'll have a game where he goes off with assists, like double digit assists.
He did average 7 assists a game this year.
I believe he had one in the playoffs where he had 14 actually. So
okay,
you never know, but
he also averaged 26 points per game.
Exactly.
You know?
It's I would definitely consider him more a scorer before.
I would too. Yeah. As a point guard, I would consider him more of a scorer rather than a distributor. But he can do both. All right. So we want that clutch gene in him or in any player that we root for. And we also want that what? Unselfishness. We want to be felt like this guy cares as much about our city or team as we do. And I don't mean that by, hey, look, he's at a game. Hi, Jahmyr Gibbs. Hi, Jamison Williams, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but that's not what we're referring to. We're referring to how are you making this team better in ways other than just on the floor?
Like how bought in are you to winning a championship, and taking less money is exactly a way of showing that.
I'm invested. How come you're not? So I ask you, knowing that he displays all that for a team we don't like, I don't like him. Why wouldn't we respect or like him a little bit more? Now, those are two different things.
Because he plays for the Knicks and he beat the Pistons. I mean, that's the two simple things. I mean, and I'm not telling you as a fan, like you're wrong. I mean, if you don't want to like the guy because of that, I'm not going to blame you, I guess. That's a part of fandom. But yeah.
Amen to that. But we don't use that for, I guess it can't always be universal. We don't use that across the board.
No, I mean,
we don't do that. We don't do that with LeBron James, and he did it for Cleveland, for crying out loud. Cleveland's more. That's why yesterday I asked you, what did I ask you? Sometimes I have a purpose in how I line things up. What did I ask you as a Pistons fan? What is the rival? And you said Cleveland. Used to be Chicago. Now it's Cleveland. Okay. Well, LeBron James did that in Cleveland. People still root for his ass.
Yeah, I think people just got fed up with the foul calling again in that series against the Knicks last year and some of the flopping and stuff. And I think that was the only reason that people really had like a beef against it. Because the thing is, if somebody drives you nuts against your team, I mean, I can think of a bunch from when it comes to baseball with different players that played against the Tigers when I was a kid that I just couldn't stand, right? Because they were so good. But you always have that respect, right? If they don't if they're not doing anything actually wrong, they're just better than your guys. Like, you have that respect for them either way. For some reason, it feels like, I don't know, Pistons fans just couldn't find a grip on that with Jalen Brunson.
Okay. I think that's a really good explanation. I do. I just, for some reason or another, we won't do that with certain players because maybe because of how great they were.
Yeah,
I don't
know. It's hard to explain.
I don't know.
Them. Yeah,
it's really difficult because I think LeBron James averages like 24. Maybe that's not enough, and maybe it shouldn't matter. Maybe it was, for me, it was 04, 05 when he was with Cleveland and went nuts at the Palace.
Mm-hmm.
That still burns in my brain a little bit. But I think he averages like 24 points per game in his career against Detroit. So maybe that's not enough. I found it interesting while listening to that or reading about that. We have brought it up before about Jalen Brunson. He says all the right things in post-game press conferences. He doesn't necessarily toot his own horn. He seems like a really good team guy in more ways than one. And by the way, he's doing it under, what everybody will tell you. Just go to New York and they'll tell you this is the hardest place to win because everybody is expecting it, which is kind of funny because I just read the 52-year stat. And it's you got all the celebrities there and all the pressure and all the media in New York and how it's so much more difficult there than any other place. So he's been able to handle all of that and thrive. There are people right now who are a lot closer to that franchise than you and I are, who consider him already one of the greatest Knicks of all time. It's going to do something that Patrick Ewing couldn't get them to do. It's going to get them to do something Carmelo Anthony couldn't get them to do. if they finish, if they win 3 more games.
Yeah, a long way to go.
You know,
yeah.
long way to go. Right. I'm not trying to convince you that he's the guy I would want to build a franchise around, or he's a guy that you should be. I'm trying to change your mind about his persona and your opinion of him. I just find it very interesting that he incorporates a lot of the things that I've heard Pistons fans say they want, or Detroit sports fans say that they want about their athletes. We have a tendency to hold on to certain arguments and not let them go. You and I were just talking about, and by the way, we're not the only ones who do that. Athletes do that, managers do that, coaches do that. It's you're justifying something. AJ Hinch, you and I were just talking about how do you allow a guy like Troy Melton to throw 90-plus pitches in 8 innings, but in the last game against Chicago, it's Kidder Montero, who said he felt really good, throws 65 and gets pulled after 6, right? We were just talking about that.
He literally said it wasn't his decision. So
exactly. We say that about, we asked that of AJ Hinch. One of the first things he'll bring up is, look, I'm the guy who in 2010, as the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, let Edwin Jackson throw 149 pitches, walk 8 batters, and throw a no-hitter.
Right.
Because that's what he did. That was a 1-0 game, ironically enough, over Tampa. But that was a 1-0 game. If you were ever going to take a guy out, that's what you would do, right? In a 1-0 game?
Yeah.
With 8 walks? Like, people forget Jack Morris with his no-hitter in Chicago. The control issues he had. I think he walked the bases loaded in that game against Chicago. But I digress. 149 pitches. He will fall back to that on a regular basis, saying, look, I'm willing to do that. Now, that's 15 years ago. So it's a long time ago.
Different day and age, yeah.
Different day and age, for sure. And here's the difference in that game. Edwin Jackson literally said to him, you're not taking me out of this game unless I give up a home run. I'm staying in this game. Those are the guys you want. Now, Edwin Jackson, ironically enough, did pitch for the Tigers. And sure as hell wasn't that good. But those are the types of guys you want. You want old school? You want the Mickey Lolich in Game 7 of the World Series in 1968 against the Cardinals, where he said to Mayo Smith, you're not taking me out. This is now my game. After you came up to me after every inning, can you give me one more? Can you give me one more? Can you give me one more? And then when you approach me, I say, hold on. This is my game now. Those are the guys you want. You wanted that in Tarek Skubal the last 2 years in the playoffs against Cleveland and against Seattle. This is my game. Do you have that? New York's got it. Jalen Brunson does that. Give me the ball. Put the ball in my hands. Everybody knows it's going to be. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to perform. Pretty good stuff. Might be a guy you want to look at it a little differently moving forward. Quick time out here on X's and Bros. We're glad you're with us on a Tullymore Thursday. We're brought to you this hour by MitchLionsWealth.com.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLionsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community. just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Back with you on X's and Bros. Thanks for being with us on a Tullymore Thursday. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Meyer. Tigers finished things up in Tampa with a sweep, beating them 7-2. Troy Melton, really good. Dylan Dingler, outstanding. Detroit on a 3-game mini rule now as they come home and take on Seattle for the first of a weekend series starting tomorrow night at Comerica Park. The Knicks, a winner yesterday on the road in San Antonio, coming from 14 points down to win by 10. It is their 7th consecutive roadkill in the playoffs by double digits. Jalen Brunson had 30. Karl Anthony Towns had a double-double. The Knicks have outscored their opponents by 272 points in the last 12 games. 272 points.
I mean, you gotta give him credit. People still don't want to, but you have to.
You're right. 100%. It is the best 12-game stretch from any NBA team in history, regular season or playoffs. Dude,
I didn't know it was that good, to be honest. But
I know.
Yeah, I mean,
look, and I don't care who you're trying to tell me. Oh, but look at who they played. I don't care. The teams they're playing are in the playoffs, man. It's not like they're getting a bad Milwaukee Bucks team during the regular season. This is not against Indiana without Tyrese Haliburton.
Right, exactly.
These are teams that reached the playoffs and earned the right. You can say what you want about Cleveland. They beat our team. I didn't like it. I disagreed with it. I thought there were some ridiculous calls and non-calls. They beat them in 7 games. How are you going to argue game 7? Honest to God, how are you going to argue game 7? I can complain about certain non-calls or calls during the first few games of the season or series. But when you get to game 7 and you got it at home and they come out and they force you to do what they did, they dominated that game 7. You and I both know that. We talked about it the very next day. So that New York team to blow through Cleveland the way they did after Cleveland did what they did in Detroit turned my head a little bit.
No, and the sentiment all year has been the West is just, the best and there's no chance for anybody else. And I'm not saying I'm somewhat guilty of it. I definitely thought, and I'm not saying that the Knicks are just going to win it either, because I still don't think they are. But it still opens your eyes a little bit to maybe the Knicks maybe they are this good. If they go out and win the second game, I'm going to be feeling a lot different about how this series is going to go. I'll tell you that.
You know what it is, Andy? It's and this is common among a lot of people. You and I are exact same boat here. You don't want to be proven wrong. That's number one. Of course not. Who does? All right. You can admit when you're wrong, but you don't like it. All right. Especially if it happens too often. So that's number one. Number two, it's the constant beating you over the head from the national media about New York.
Right, right.
And I totally get that because I feel the same way. But if this were a team that if they didn't have New York across their jersey and they didn't have members on the 4-letter network, jumping up and down with cheerleading outfits on, which to me is just ridiculous. Okay. It's just become more commonplace. Oh boy, I'm a Knicks fan. And same people that during the season said this team is terrible. They should have never done this. They should have never done that. How are you bringing in Mike Brown? Jalen Brunson is selfish. Karl Anthony Towns is soft. All those same people who are now giddy as a schoolgirl that their team is up 1-0. That's what you don't want to hear. Who would? I don't want to hear it either. But if you look at it, would you want Jalen Brunson on your team? Yes. Are you looking for somebody similar to the skill set of Karl Anthony Towns? For sure. Do you love the defensive tenacity of OG Anunoby? You bet.
They're good, and they're out to prove something, and I respect that, man.
Yeah, so if they didn't have New York across their jersey.
Exactly.
And at least in Detroit, if they didn't have Boston or Chicago. But if they were somebody else, if this were Indiana or if this were Minnesota, you would say, I kind of like that team. Even though it's not my team, I kind of like that team. So there's a huge difference there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nobody wants to be proven wrong. You're right. Everybody's picking the Spurs. Everybody picked the Spurs. So that's why nobody wants that to happen. I mean, it's just like if the Tigers were to turn this around and somehow go, 22-6 this month, and I was completely wrong. there's certain things you don't want to admit that you're wrong about, but would I be happy to admit I was wrong about that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
It'd be great to admit I was wrong.
I'd love that if that's what happened.
Exactly. So I'm just trying to bring it into it if it was our team, right? Like you give them the credit if they came back.
Well, not only that, you would want everybody else to give them the credit.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm getting at.
So I'm willing to do that. Now, it's interesting you say you still believe in the Spurs, and I don't blame you because I do too. The thing I would warn you is this. San Antonio, for as good as they are and relying on one guy, and that's probably not even fair because Vassell's been really good. Castle's been really good. As we mentioned, Harper's been really good. New York has been super clutch. Like they're not intimidated whatsoever. It seems like every time
they get the
San
confidence.
Antonio was hitting some big shots in the first half, New York comes right back and does the exact same thing. Here's why, in part, I think, why you and I feel like it's still San Antonio. You know what it is? How many people told us the West is the best? We saw flaws in the East all year long. We used reasons on why they're not good enough. Indiana's not going to get there because of the injuries. Milwaukee's discontent and Doc Rivers is their coach. Philadelphia doesn't have a consistent Joel Embiid. Boston lost Jason Tatum. The Pistons aren't ready yet. Cleveland seems dysfunctional. Blah, 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 blah. That's what we were told all year long, while everybody is, getting on both hands and knees and bowing to OKC because of their track record, San Antonio because of Victor Wembanyama, Dallas because of Nikola Jokic and a three-headed monster that's really tough to beat there, Minnesota because Anthony Edwards is one of the greatest athletes the NBA has had in recent memory. We made all these reasons why the West was so good and all the decisions on why the East was so bad. So going into this finals, and look, betting is part of it too, right? You go, whether you're going to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort or whether you're going to DraftKings or wherever, what are they doing? The money's on San Antonio. And usually those people are right. That's the reason they've got really nice things in their lobbies. It's the reason they can compute drinks while you're betting. They're usually right. So all that was part of it. But we were told, it was shoved down our throat, almost like the WNBA is shoved down your throat by the four-letter network. It was shoved down our throat that the West was better. So maybe it shouldn't be as much of a surprise because New York has made no doubt. There is no doubt in anybody's mind. I don't care how much of a fan you are of Cleveland, of Detroit, of Boston, Philadelphia, you name it. There is no question who the best team in the East has been. When you're putting up numbers like they are, and you're not just beating teams, you're embarrassing teams. You're coming from double digits down at times during a game. You are showing mental mettle and you are showing physical prowess. Give them credit. I know that's tough. By the way, game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight. Carolina down 1-0 thanks to that 5-4 nail-biter on Tuesday night. John Cooper of Tampa wins the Jack Adams Coach of the Year award. Longest tenured coach in the league at 14 seasons. He wins the award for the first time. The Bulls finished third in the East. Now, there's a complaint here. Now, you and I had the complaint about J.B. Bickerstaff finishing second in Coach of the Year to Joe Mazzulla, right? You and I were disappointed in that, frustrated, borderline pissed off. And I think there's a reason for that. You could understand why people in Buffalo are upset too. And I'm going to give you that reason when we come back. It's not that John Cooper didn't deserve it because he was without Victor Hedman a lot of the year. He had some injuries that he had to deal with. It's interesting. I mean, so did J.B. Bickerstaff, and it didn't work for him. But either way, John Cooper deserved to be in the conversation. It's not like you would scratch and claw, fight, kick, and scream that he won it. But there's people in Buffalo upset, and for good reason. I'm going to give you that reason when we come back here on X's and Bros on a Tullymore Thursday, brought to you by Meyer right after this.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
You here on X's and Bros on this Tullymore Thursday. We're brought to you by Meyer. I had said prior to the break that Tampa fans are ecstatic, not because their baseball team just were swept by the Tigers, but because their head coach, John Cooper, for the Lightning, was named Jack Adams Coach of the Year for the first time in his career. And he's a really good hockey coach, as we all know, even though his team lost the gold medal game to the Team USA because he was coach of Canada. Buffalo fans have a legitimate gripe here. You have to admit that. If you and I can complain, and we did vehemently, about J.B. Bickerstaff getting screwed, what we would say, out of Coach of the Year, not once but twice, 2 years in a row, went from 14 wins to 44. In his first year, he took over a team that had 14 wins, and he guided them to a plus 30. Never happened before. Then, and he finishes as a runner-up. Then, this year, he leads the East in wins with 60. So when people say Detroit versus everybody, and they start wearing that with great pride, you can understand why. That people in Detroit would be a little upset. People in Buffalo should feel the same. Nobody expected Buffalo to win the Atlantic with 109 points. Nobody expected Buffalo to have the second most wins in the Eastern Conference this year with 50. And Lindy Ruff, who finished second in the voting, probably deserved better. And when I say that, I say it this way. There were 99 ballots for Coach of the Year. Ruff was on 67 of them. You vote for 3. How is that possible? That means there are 32 voters who left him completely off their ballot. Who the hell else are you voting for? I mean, Dan Muse for Pittsburgh, I get it. Okay, how do you not put Lindy Ruff in that conversation? That seems very odd to me because of from which they came. So anyway, just a quick little nugget there when it comes to the sport of hockey that gets back going again tonight with Carolina hosting Vegas and the Hurricanes down 1-0. The PGA stops at Muirfield Village. It's the 50th anniversary of the Memorial. Do you know who won the first Memorial?
I do not.
Roger Maltby won the first Memorial. If you could see over the 4-day span, the pants he wore, it's out there, man. I mean, it's like Woodstock stuff. It's crazy, but it's a hell of a thing. Here's and Scotty Scheffler is seeking to three-peat the event. He's going to try and win it for a third straight time. Can you name me? I read this yesterday. I would not have known it, but you're a big golf fan. Name me the players in this field that have done this before in a tournament. Okay. Guys who are, let me change that. Hold on. Who are the other guys who have won tournaments, multiple tournaments? So Scheffler is there's only 17 players who have completed a three-peat in the PGA Tour history. All right. So Scheffler's obviously looking to do that. He looks to join 3 other players who have accomplished this feat multiple times, win the same tournament 3 years in a row since the turn of the century. All right. Guys who've done it before that, Nicholas, Palmer, Johnny Miller. But who are the other 3 players since the turn of the century to have won the same tournament 3 years in a row?
Any tournament though? That's
Any
the part I was trying to listen. Okay.
Any tournament.
Rory McIlroy?
Nope.
Okay. Tiger Woods?
Tiger Woods, yes. That's the only one I got.
It makes sense. Can't not pick him.
The other two are I'll save you. Steve Stricker.
Okay.
You wouldn't have gotten it.
Nope.
And Stuart Appleby.
Nope. Not
You
a
wouldn't have
shot.
gotten it.
Nope. Not who I would have guessed.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people they barely mention or even know who Stuart Appleby is. I found that very interesting.
That's wild.
It's a good little nugget.
Winning 3 in a row, and he never have heard of him before that.
The same tournament.
Stuff.
Yeah. Now I would tell you this. The Rocket Classic is in Metro Detroit. You got the Meyer Classic coming up in Grand Rapids. You got the Dow Invitational taking place in Midland coming up. We've got some really good tournaments in the state of Michigan. Love that. This tournament, the Memorial, the Jack Nicklaus owned Muirfield Village, is not too far from Metro Detroit in Ohio. And every year, with Jack Nicklaus as the host, he's answering questions from members of the media. And at 87, what does he care? I mean, he's the greatest golfer of all time. He's got more majors than anybody else. He's got more runners up than anybody else. And he's got more top 5 in majors than anybody else. So we can have the debate all we want between him and Tiger Woods, and they're fair debates. It's basically between those two guys. I'll take Jack Nicklaus. I know a lot of people would take Tiger Woods. I'm in awe of what Tiger Woods did. Perhaps the most dominating calendar year in any athlete's life. So I hate to sound like you got to knock one guy to promote the other. I'm just giving you the credentials of Jack Nicklaus. At 87, he doesn't care. People want to ask him all the time about certain things that are taking place at the PGA, and at times he shies away from it. But if you keep pressing, he actually will answer. Yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. No, it was Tuesday. I'm sorry, Tuesday. Nicklaus was asked about the scheduling of what the PGA Tour is going to do. And right now, there are signature events that you have in the PGA. Signature events. Besides the majors, there are certain events that are viewed as signature events. The Players' Championship is one of them, but there are 8 tournaments that they view as signature, including this one, the Players at the Memorial. All right. That means players are playing in these big events, sometimes 5 out of 6 weeks, which to you and I would be like, Andy and I are both golfers. Who cares? I'm playing golf for a living. I'll take the private jet. I'll go all over the place. All right. The problem is not with those tournaments. The problem is with the tournaments that aren't used as signature events, which is what the Rocket is. It's not a signature event. So if you're a player, and this is a good problem to have, if you're a player on the PGA Tour and you're making so much money for just making the cut. Remember we asked you last week, how much do you think Jack Nicklaus made in his PGA Tour career? And what was it? What do we say? $700,000? Something like that?
Yeah, not as much as they're making now.
Yeah, they're making that in one tournament these days. Okay? You're making millions of dollars if you win, and think about how many wins he had. And it is all because, Tiger Woods made it a cool thing. Good for him. I mean, Tiger Woods changed the world of golf when it comes to that. But what do you do if you're a host of a tournament and it's not a signature event? What do you do if it's the Cognizant Classic? Okay? Because you've got the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, you got the Genesis Invitational, you've got the Arnold Palmer Invitational, and the Players' Championship. There's 4 signature events. The 5th one squeezed in the middle of that is the Cognizant. Who wants to go play in that? And it's the same situation that the Rocket Classic is in. Justin Thomas said it. It's tough. I don't necessarily wouldn't want to draw it up this way, but it's hard for players to really be focused to play that much and be at the top of their game. And Jack Nicklaus concurred. He said to me, look at it from, if I was a player, I could play a couple of weeks in a row, maybe 3 weeks in a row, but I needed some time off to be able to recharge the batteries. Everybody needs that opportunity to recharge the batteries. The way that the PGA is scheduled, it doesn't give them that. And it's events like the Rocket that really take the brunt of the punishment. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. You can text us, Sports Radio 21,000. We'll get to some of those texts on the other side here on X's and Bros. Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC warehouse locations in Michigan.
touch or find something that blows your mind, even though you lived through it. Like, I still can't believe I saw that. Maybe it was out of your mind for a while. In sports, sometimes we get so wrapped up in a team's season or a team's recent past that we forget about certain other things that they've done, could have done, or didn't do in general. That's how I feel about the 2014 Tigers. Don't ask me why I was thinking about this. Probably because on Monday I was talking with a buddy of mine, and he said the one season, we were talking about the disappointment of the Tigers, and he said the one season that I still go back to is 2014. I'm like, I get it. That's the year that, in case you were wondering, Detroit won 90 games, played Baltimore in the ALDS, and were swept in 3 games.
Yep, I remember that.
Okay.
And that was disappointing for sure. But
yeah, it was heartbreaking. I want you to think about this for a minute. Not that they were all starters, because the last guy I mentioned was not. But that pitching staff had Max Scherzer. It had Rick Porcello. It had Justin Verlander. It had David Price. Obviously, it had Anibal Sanchez, Drew Smyly as well. But out of the bullpen, they used Robbie Ray. Scherzer has won 3 Cy Youngs. Porcello's won 1. Verlander's won 2. Price won 1 in 2012. And Ray won 1. You had 8 Cy Young Award winners eventually, okay? Because only Verlander, Scherzer, and Price had won 1 yet. But you still had 3 starting. You had 3 Cy Young Award winners in your starting rotation. Everybody talks about the great Braves teams, and rightfully so. They only won 1 championship. How could you only win 1 championship with John Smoltz and Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine and Steve Avery? And okay, I get it. You had some really good players during those times too, with Andrew Jones and Chipper Jones and players like that. And you had a really good coach, a really good manager, and Bobby Kotz, and a really good pitching coach in Leo Mazzoni. All true. In 2014, not too dissimilar. And you had Jim Leland as your skipper in 2014. But you look back at that. Game 1, Detroit was pounded 12-3. Going into the game, you and I would have been saying, if we were on the air, Andy and I were on the air, we were breaking it down. Max Scherzer against Chris Tillman? Come on, give me a break. Scherzer got tagged for 5 runs. In game 2, you lost 7-6. Okay? It was Justin Verlander against Wei Yi Chen. Okay, now Verlander didn't get the loss. Okay? But Brad Bach got the win for Baltimore. So Chris Tillman wins a game in which you start Max Scherzer, who ended up winning 3 Cy Youngs. Brad Bach wins game 2 in a game in which you started Justin Verlander, who won 2 Cy Youngs. And game 3 was a 2-1 loss. Nelson Cruz, a 2-run blast off David Price. Bud effing Norris won that game. Bud Norris gave up 2 hits. Didn't give up any runs for Baltimore.
I think
you think you know sports? Like, you and I know sports. We like to think that.
Yeah.
You think you like to know what's going to happen going in. Anybody expect, let's just use recent history. Anybody expect the Tigers to sweep the Rays in Tampa?
No, not a
Anybody
chance.
expect Vegas to sweep the Avs in the Western Conference Finals? Did anybody expect last night the Knicks to come from 14 down in the second half against the almighty Spurs, especially with Greg Popovich in attendance? No, nobody would have expected that. Just keep reminding yourself. I guess you could do 2006 too if you wanted. All right. But 2004 Pistons. Anybody expect that 5-game series against Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, and the Lakers? Hell no. You didn't expect that. And yet your team with Tayshaun Prince and Chauncey Billups and Richard Hamilton and Ben Wallace did that. Isn't that crazy?
That is
and then
crazy to think about. Yeah.
In 2014, when you and I are sitting back and going, let's analyze this, shall we? Let's do another shot and talk about Detroit's pitching. Not to mention their offense. It's not like their offense was a bad thing either. It wasn't all pitching.
But 2014 wasn't that Brad Ausmus's first year? I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay. What about it?
I think that was like maybe the beginning of he made didn't he make a decision in one of those games late with the bullpen? I thought the last game they lost was they lost because they had the lead at one point in that game. That's all I remember. I'm trying to remember who he put in from the bullpen, but I think they lost in the game, and I just can't remember who it was.
Well,
I have to go back and
actually that's not necessarily true. Baltimore had a 2-0 lead.
Okay,
they hit a 2-run homer off David Price. Nelson Cruz did in the 6th inning. Detroit scored a run in the 9th. I think you're thinking of the Boston series.
It could be it.
Okay, when he brought in Joaquin Benoit. Okay, so that was 2013. Maybe Brad Ausmus' first year was 2013.
It was 2014 according to everything I was looking at. Because
2014.
Yeah, he took over that team, and that was the last year they made the playoffs for like forever.
That's right. 2000. Yeah, Leland was gone by then. Yeah, that's right. My apologies. Yeah. Either way, yeah, people can blame Brad Ausmus all they want. Here's what I would remind people of the Tigers that year, though. We were all about, hey, listen, this team has got to. This team's got to be. You had to address the bullpen. Dave Dombrowski, damn it, you had to address the bullpen. Just a reminder that Brad Ausmus did win the Central. They did have the 90 wins. I think the 90 wins were most in the American League that year. I think they were one of the number one overall seed. But when you look at that team, and they had some really good numbers overall, you look at that team, they had Miguel Cabrera, they had Nick Castellanos, Alex Avila, Torrey Hunter, Austin Jackson, Ian Kinsler, Victor Martinez, JD Martinez. I mean, they had studs. It wasn't just the pitching. And then when you look in the bullpen, and you had people felt like they were able to address some of the needs that they were lacking from the year before. Remember, Joe Nathan came over. Joe Nathan was an incredible closer. And when they got him, he had 35 saves that year. People thought it was a really good pickup. Jabba Chamberlain came here from the Yankees. Phil Koch from the left side. Ian Kroll from the left side. You felt like you had a few pieces that you could turn to. I'm sorry, you don't win 90 games during a regular season if you don't have a decent bullpen. And you did. Anyway, I was thinking about that the other day on Monday when a friend of mine brought that up. Scherzer was pitching as if he was going to get a new contract soon. Well, if you're pitching like you're going to get a new contract soon, you're pitching with your hair on fire. That year, Max Scherzer led the league in wins with 18, if you recall. He was 18-5 with a 3 ERA and one complete game. Via text, and we got to get to some text here. Our good friend Freddie always never lets us down. Shep, how does AJ Hinch not let Melton finish that game? It's ridiculous. What a stubborn man. Keep reading the graphics, AJ. It won't get you very far. Well, let's just remind ourselves. This was the third start for Troy Melton since coming off the IL.
Yeah, I can't agree with that.
Okay. So, yeah.
I don't have a problem with him taking him out yesterday with that lead in the 9th inning.
I don't either. I have no problem. Answer me this. What's the point of letting him finish?
Yeah, he was at 94 pitches, right?
I mean, he's at 94 pitches.
I'm not saying he can't go more than that, but it's like,
right,
man.
I don't think you are either. I'm not a pitch count guy. All right. So I want to know. I've talked to managers about this before. They smartly so they're not talking to the pitchers. They're talking to their pitching coach and they're talking to their catchers. And AJ Hinch is a former catcher, is doing just that. What do you see? Does his fastball still have movement? Does his curveball still have the necessary break? Is the slider sweeping the way it's supposed to? Whatever, okay? I'm not a big – I don't care about the pitch count. Now, the 94 pitches, I believe, were a career high for him. I had already mentioned earlier in the show that he had never thrown more than 7 innings. He threw 7 innings against Arizona in his second career start, in which he had 87 pitches. So that was last year. This year, he's only made, like I said, the 3 starts and 79, 89, and then 94. When you're up 7-2, why do you have to have him finish the game?
Yeah, I don't.
What's the big deal?
I didn't see a point in that. That's for
Yeah,
sure. But
I didn't.
I think with this, like the question that this begs a little bit more, just to thinking about the Tigers rotation now. Like, what do you do with it when Verlander does come back? Are you just like Flaherty gone?
No, they've already made the decision. They're going to put Ty Madden in the bullpen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was made known yesterday. Shep, Pistons fans can't admit Cade has Duran benched in the playoffs, and Brunson has Cat shooting threes and jumpers outside of 3 feet. Well, that's a big difference between the two players. There's no doubt. I don't think Cade had him benched, but I think what your point is that Duran was sitting on the bench while Karl Anthony Towns is making big shot after big shot. Evan Mobley, same thing with Cleveland. You could say that. Shep, my thoughts on the Lions. As of this date, Detroit came back with the same players on defense. 3 of them are unsure. Kirby, Aleem, Branch. Dallas loaded up on defense. Minnesota upgraded a quarterback and possibly can do what Seattle and Sam Darnold did. Dallas, Minnesota NFC Championship game. Detroit misses the playoffs. Wow. Don't see that. I think Detroit wins the division if they stay healthy. Sure, Minnesota upgraded on their quarterback. How can you not?
Yeah, it's hard not to do that with what they had last year.
Yeah, of course.
And everybody
they're going to upgrade on their own. They lost some defensive players too, I might add. But I think they've upgraded offensively, no question, or at the quarterback. But that's because the bar was set so damn low. So I'm a little confused at why you would think just because Minnesota went out and got Kyler Murray, who makes some eye-dropping plays, but I wouldn't consider this great quarterback. You're going to upgrade from J.J. McCarthy and Max Brosmer, for crying out loud. I don't think that the Lions are bringing the same guys back at all. I mean, you've as we've mentioned, you've got a new right tackle, you've got a new center, you've got a new linebacker outside Alex Anzalone. You're requiring, and you got a new edge rusher, you're going to require some of your guys to be better. Aleem McNeil's got to be better. Tyreek Williams has got to be better. Terrion Arnold's got to be better. DJ Reed's got to be better.
Whoever's playing safety has to step up and be better too.
Without question. Can you find me a team in the National Football League this year who didn't win the Super Bowl who feels like they've got to improve? San Francisco's saying it. The Rams are saying it, but the Rams are doing it too.
Yeah, I bet Seattle's even saying they could still do better in some spots.
I mean, you lose Kenneth Walker,
right?
And you feel like, holy crap, we got to get better.
Yeah, no doubt. And I feel like with the NFC North is so unique. Going back to what he was saying, I mean, I can understand why you would be optimistic. Any fan base could be optimistic. There's a lot of talent in the NFC North. Like I think any team can make an argument for why they'd win it. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't say the Lions did nothing. That's crazy to say.
Yeah. Dallas gets Rashawn Gary. He's a good player. It's not that I disagree with that. They use draft picks. Caleb Downs, for example, that's a big get. Quinn Williams is a good player. Kenny Clark's a good player. Okay. Malik Hooker. Caleb Downs. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Dallas isn't good. I'm not big on their coaching, but I'm not saying they're not good. To see them in the NFC Championship game, no, I don't see that at all. Rams are better than Dallas, for sure. San Francisco, when healthy, is, I think, better than Dallas. And I think Detroit is too. Shep, many thought firing Thibodeau was foolish. It's an offensive league. If New York wins it, exactly why they brought in Mike Brown. You're right about that. 100%. Thibodeau pushed defense first in a league where they don't care to play it until the playoffs. Ultimately, shooting matters. Yes, it does. I don't know if that's the reason he was relieved of his duties, but I was surprised by it. I didn't think they upgraded there, and I've been wrong about that so far. Mike Brown got him to a place where Tom Thibodeau didn't. Shep is Bill Davidson. Today's Stan Kroenke. Many here forget Davidson won 3 titles in 2004 alone. Yeah, he was the owner of the Pistons. He was the owner of the Shock, and he was owner of the Lightning. And he won a championship in all 3 leagues. Pistons beat the Lakers. Shock beat the team I don't know. And Tampa was hoisting the Stanley Cup. That was incredible. Players loved him. They absolutely loved him. And he was a player's owner. And I would say he gave his coaches a lot of leeway too, unless those coaches did things that made his organization look bad. He got tired of Larry Brown threatening to leave and said, then go. He didn't like that Rick Carlisle was unprofessional when Davidson was bringing some people through the practice facility. So he wanted him out. There were certain standards that he had to have, and you had to be professional around him. So he was a great owner. He really was. Another text. Go ahead, Andy. Fire away.
Yeah, we got it's Jim from Grand Rapids here. Said morning, Shep. Dingler has really been slapping the ball around it, and Jake Rogers finally ran into one. How about that?
Yeah, that surprised the hell out of me.
I know. I was stunned when that was the other run they got yesterday.
Yeah,
that early in the game.
First homer of the year. Good for him. I know a lot of people root for him. Look, I'm going to root for any Tiger, no doubt about that. Rogers actually not only ran into one, went 2 for 3, so good for him. But I'm not. I think that's an area where you need to upgrade your backup catcher, even though you're wanting Dylan Dingler to play 120 games or whatever. Rogers is a trusted ally behind the plate by the pitchers. So sometimes that overtakes what he can't deliver for you offensively. Are we caught up on text?
Yeah, we are.
We are. Okay. When we come back, I do want to drive home some points regarding the NFL. I'm glad people have texted us about the NFL because ESPN has their NFL power rankings, which to me, this time of year, June 4th, really? Does it really matter? Is it important? Probably not, but it gives you an idea of how people see. So somebody had texted us and said, hey, my Minnesota and Dallas in the NFC Championship game, if all goes right for both teams. Well, ESPN, let's see how they feel about that. Let's see how some of their NFL writers feel about it. And it gives you a little bit of a base on what you can expect maybe moving forward, even though they're not always right, and that's for certain. This is X's and Bros on a Tullymore Thursday, and we're brought to you this hour by our friends at Meijer.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered to MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meijer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meijer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeijerLPGAClassic.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Saw an article the other day, and welcome back, about guys performing really well in the minors, but struggling in the majors. Perhaps when we have a minute, we get to that. Just a reminder, DraftKings Sports is live in all 50 states, and that means here in Michigan as well. There's 2 teams left in the NBA Finals. 1 trophy, every possession, every fourth quarter shot, every fourth quarter charge taken, whatever it may be. DraftKings Sports app is now live throughout the state. So whether you're catching tip-off at home or Game 7 at the bar, you're on every single minute in every game, every moment, all in one app right here in the state of Michigan. The finals are in the palm of your hand. New DraftKings customers sign up with the code HUGE. Spend $5 to get $200 in rewards guaranteed. That's code is HUGE, H-U-G-E. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants some help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility restrictions do apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.com/audio. This is for a limited time offer. The player I brought up I was thinking about was Royce Lewis. Royce Lewis, I mean, when I was calling Tiger games when Royce Lewis for Minnesota, was a pretty good player and a versatile player as well. This year, struggled mightily for the Twins. Was batting $163 when they sent him down. And the same guy that in his second year, even though it's a small sample size at about 60 games, batted over 300. Then it was like low to mid 200s. This year, awful. Goes down to the minors. In 53 at-bats, he's batting 350. 360, closer to 360, with 10 homers in 53 at-bats. So tearing it up. Just because a guy is doing really well in the minors doesn't mean it translates to the majors. And we've said that over and over and over again. Here's the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day. We ask you, I have a poll question for every day, which rumored player should the Pistons trade for? Should it be Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Trey Murphy, or Kason Wallace? You can vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. I've retweeted it as well, and we'll give you the results tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. The ESPN, and by the way, for that, with the possibility, the reason we bring that up is because there was a report yesterday that the Pistons have had trade talks with Cleveland that involve Isaiah Stewart and Max Strus. After last year's playoffs loss to the Knicks, in which Isaiah Stewart didn't play, some people felt like he was untouchable. Don't you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, based on that report, he's a guy who could be moved.
Max Strus would be crazy. I feel like he drove a lot of people nuts in the Pistons during that series. So that'd be a pretty crazy trade.
Yeah. Within the division, seems a little strange. You're right about that. Let me get to some NFL power rankings here. ESPN, for what it's worth. And we had a text. Shep, you didn't mention anything about defense. Well, I did mention the Lions defense. I said, Ali McNeil's got to get better. He feels really good by all reports. You can say that now on June 4th. You and I want to see it in September, and I don't blame you. But he can't look. There's a reason they signed him to that deal. You liked what he brought until he got hurt, so you hope he can get back there. We don't know that, but you hope so. Tyler Williams has got to be really good. I mean, you're a first round pick. We said this yesterday. We used some examples. It's tough to overcome that if you lose it. All right. So they've built some depth there. They've got those two guys. When healthy, those guys should be really good up the middle. We don't know about Derek Moore. But if you're going to give Dallas credit for bulking up their defense, can I not give Detroit some credit for doing the same thing? Because they drafted a lot of defensive players. In fact, Brad Holmes has drafted more defensive players than offensive players in his tenure. So I don't know how good Jimmy Roller is going to be. All right. I don't know how good getting an edge rusher in the second round and Derek Moore is going to be really good. We don't know that. But we know they addressed some needs that were required. And Keith Abney, as we mentioned, as a corner. Maybe Dan Jackson, who they drafted a year ago. I know, 7th round, we want to poo-poo it. I get it, but maybe he's a guy who could play a pretty important role for this team. They also picked up certain free agents. Roger McCreary is going to be a big free agent signing for this team. I know it's only a year, but it's still an important piece. Maybe I'm looking at it glass half full. You can blame me for that. Just like I can blame you for looking at it for glass half empty. I think what a lot of people are feeling is that in order for this team to be successful, what you're going to really need is you need those safeties back, or at least one of them, right? And Brian Branch, by all accounts, seems to be on pace.
And if you can't get him back, it feels like people think that you need to add like a big name and go for it no matter what. I think people are just acting like the Lions didn't add to their defense. I feel like because it's not like some, huge signing, not necessarily a Myles Garrett, but a name that right? Like that's the only reason I can think of why people would think they didn't add to it, because they addressed it in the draft.
Yeah, because you and I aren't sold on Thomas Harper and Chuck Clark.
Right.
Because we haven't seen enough of Avonte Maddox, or maybe we have seen enough of Avonte Maddox, right? If I asked you, this is probably unfair, but if I asked you who the best team in the NFC on paper is to start the year, you'd say the Rams. And when I ask you about certain players or certain positions, immediately you say Matthew Stafford, and you say Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, because you know those guys, right? And then, of course, you're going to say Byron Young, and you're going to say perhaps Kobe Turner, and you're going to say Myles Garrett now that they've traded for him. But if I said to you, all right, besides Trent McDuffie, who else is in their defensive secondary that gives you great confidence? Can you even name them? Can you even suggest that Quentin Lake is a good enough nickelback for them or would start for Detroit? I don't know the answer to that. If I asked you their offensive linemen, because we think that's really important. Shep, I don't care about them. I care about the Lions. But the Rams are viewed as, the cream of the crop in the NFC right now. And you're going to nitpick them on some things that the Lions haven't done, even though they've addressed some needs. You wanted an edge rusher. They moved up in the second round to get him. God dang it. Why is he moving up? Why is he trading picks away? Because he wants the guy.
And that's his guy.
He feels like that's
does.
the guy they identified. Yeah. All right. Gosh darn it. Why are they waiting so late to get a cornerback? Well, they got a guy that everybody says is a steal. I don't know if it's going to be, but that's what everybody suggests, that if there's one steal that the Lions got, and one of the biggest steals in the entire draft, Detroit got him in the 5th round in Keith Abney. So let's hope that's the case. I don't know if that's the case, but neither do you. If you're going to make a judgment on how good another team is because they quote unquote loaded up on defense, and then I give you Derek Moore, and I give you, I didn't say DJ Wanham, but I suppose I could. And I give you Jimmy Rolder, and I give you Keith Abney, and I give you Roger McCreary as a sign. How come that's not loaded? I've just mentioned 5 guys, and I didn't even order fries with it. So I'd love to know why it only goes one way in that regard. Power Football Index. I said Power Rankings. Power Football Index, ESPN. Put this out. Rams number 1, defending Super Bowl champ Seahawks number 4, Patriots at number 14. I don't know why New England would be down so low. Perhaps it's the schedule, which again kills me because you just don't know what these teams are like yet. So the strength of schedule to me is a little strange. Where do you think they have the Lions? I would ask you to think about this for a minute. Where they have them in the NFC and where they have them in the NFL overall. Where they have them overall, I understand. Where they have them in the NFC, I don't get. We will get to that on the other side. We will also have the final results of our poll question, our daily wager, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort and their sportsbook Ascend. All that and more coming up here on a Tullymore Thursday edition of X's and Bros, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
In the den. It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning.
only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. There are a number of things that stand out for the Tigers over the last 3 days in Tampa. One is obvious, the Tigers' first sweep since brooming Kansas City in mid-April. Another is the offense. They scored 25 runs on 37 hits in the 3-game set. And then there is the play of Dylan Dingler and the start from young Troy Melton. Dingler has arguably been the Tigers' best all-around player this year. He went 6 for 13 with 9 RBIs in this series against the Rays. He also guided Troy Melton to his longest outing of his major league career, tossing 94 pitches over 8 innings to earn his second win in as many decisions. Melton's poise, bravado, and stuff lead most to think he will be a frontline starter for this franchise for years to come if he can stay healthy. All this and more made for a much more pleasant plane ride home. Farrah's Coffee has been family-owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Resort in Thompsonville, Michigan. If you've never experienced the mountain, it's unbelievable. They offer up 36 holes of championship golf, Betsy Valley, Mountain Ridge, accommodations, a ton of choices. Go to crystalmountain.com, see everything for yourself. One of the top spas in America. They can handle businesses, small groups, big groups, your buddies, the ladies, and more. Book your getaway now at crystalmountain.com. That's crystalmountain.com.
sometimes we get lost in our own baseball world. It happens to me too. But in case you were wondering, and I'm not trying to make you feel any better about where your team is at, okay? This is our focus is on the English D only. However, I would remind you of this one thing. While everybody crowned the Chicago Cubs champions of the National League way too early, and they did because they got off to a really good start, they have struggled since. Lost their third game in a row yesterday. They've lost 7 of their last 10. And they are the first team in MLB history, according to Buster Olney, to win at least 15 games in a row at home and then lose their next 8 games at home in a row. They lost to the Athletics last night 5-4. They are now just 2 games above the break even.
It's crazy.
I'm just giving you some info. That's all I'm
Again,
doing.
the streakiness. It does happen with other teams.
happens with a lot of teams. Yes. Okay. So here's what I'm going to ask you. According to ESPN's Football Power Index, Rams are number 1. You can understand why. All right. Where do you think the Lions rank out of the 32 teams in the National Football League? Miami last, Rams 1. Where would you consider the Lions being ranked in ESPN's first Football Power Index?
Well, when you mentioned the Patriots, it kind of started making me think about if they do take the schedule that much into account, like whether or not it really matters right now or not. But I would say they probably get the Lions like 11.
Okay, you're close. You're close. I mean, it's 8. So
okay,
it's about where
I didn't know if they put them into the top 10 without making the playoffs last year. I thought maybe they would hold that against them a little bit more, but that's it doesn't surprise me because I could easily see the Lions jumping back to that spot this year.
Sure. Likewise. Who would you think, where would you put them in the NFC? Based on this Football Power Index, where would you put them in the NFC? If they're 8th in the NFL, where would they be in the NFC? In other words, I'm asking you, how many NFC teams are ahead of them?
Yeah, exactly. At that point, you'd have to put them at probably like, maybe I think the NFC is the better conference, but I would say probably 5, 6, something like that.
Yeah, they are 5. So here's how ESPN has it. And again, there's no reason to get all upset about this because it's way too early. But they've got the Rams at 1. They've got the Bills at 2. You could understand that, right? I think so.
Yeah,
you've got the Ravens at 3. You've got the Seahawks at 4. Some slight word overused disrespect for a team that just won the Super Bowl. Niners at 5, Packers at 6, Chargers at 7, Lions at 8. Which team ranked above them is most surprising to you?
Chargers, to me.
Same. Packers, help me with this. Where, and I know we've got some listeners up north, okay, probably near the Petoskey, Charlevoix area on WMBN 104.7. Maybe those listening in Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo, WMAX 96.1 FM, The Game, are closer probably towards Chicago than they would be Green Bay in terms of what team they follow. But what's the infatuation with the Packers? Can you help me there? I'm trying to figure out what people see in Green Bay that they just can't get beyond anybody else.
Especially with the
beating.
How it went last year.
Is Josh Jacobs going to be in that backfield? I don't know.
No one knows.
I mean, apparently, according to Matt LaFleur, everything's normal. We're just doing like we do every day, even though my running back is, up on charges for beating, his girlfriend, beating the hell out of her. Let's not make a big deal out of that. Let's make a big deal out of some of the other stuff. But anyway, I digress. Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden. Tucker Kraft comes back. Yeah. Arguably among the best in the conference in receiving with those players. Watson's solid. Jaden Reed's really good. Matthew Golden, disappointing at the beginning of the year last year, came out a little bit. Tucker Kraft, one of the best at his position. All right. You and I aren't going to debate the offensive line since most of us really probably don't know a whole lot about Aaron Banks and players like that. And then defensively, of course, anybody who has Micah Parsons, it's going to be disruptive. I like Lucas Van Ness. They lose Rashawn Gary. And Parsons, by the way, has come out and said he probably won't be ready until mid-October. Xavier McKinney, good player. Anybody else jump out at you that makes you go, stop the presses? I can't believe how stacked that team is on defense. No. So I'm a little confused at the massive love for the Green Bay Packers. Now, look, I'll be the first to admit, we know our team a hell of a lot better than anybody else. So maybe people in Green Bay are right now saying, who the hell, you think Jimmy Roller is going to make a big difference? You're relying so much on Derek Moore. Tyleik Williams wasn't super impressive a year ago, was he? Aleem McNeil was injured. Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph injured. Their cornerbacks are sieves. You could understand why Green Bay would say that, right? We're looking at it like those corners have to be better this year because they couldn't be a whole lot worse last year. We're looking at it like Tyleik Williams has learned an awful lot from playing every game a year ago. And we're saying Derek Moore was a force at Michigan, big, strong, and trust the Lions in their evaluation. So maybe I'm way off base here. For me, I mean, you say the Chargers, and I get it. I think the Chargers is a pretty good team when their offensive line is healthy, and they've gone out and made some big-time moves. For me, it's probably more Green Bay, but that's
I could see either one of those arguments. For some reason, the Chargers, the way they played in the playoffs, I don't know. I've seen the Lions obviously didn't make it last year, but I still like what the core of this group has done in the like with the run they had the NFC Championship game, I guess, more than what the Chargers have done with Justin Herbert in charge.
Copy that. Here's who else they have. So just so you know, it went Rams, Bills, Ravens, Seahawks, Niners, Packers, Chargers, Lions at 8. Behind the Lions, Chiefs, then the Eagles. Surprised a little bit there that the Eagles are at 10.
Yeah, I can see that. Why you would make that argument. You can make that argument that they're better than the Lions, I think, too. But
then they've got the Cowboys, then the Bengals, Texans, Patriots at 14, Broncos at 15, and the Bears at 16. So what they're telling you there is that they are going to be that Detroit is the second best team in their division. They're the 5th best team in the conference and the 8th best team overall. The Bears are the 3rd best team in the division because they've got the Vikings at 19. Somebody had texted us and said Cowboys and Vikings NFC Championship game. Could be. I don't believe that, but they've got the Cowboys at 11, the Vikings at 19.
The other one stood out to me a lot, too, that I think could be ranked lower is the Ravens. Like, I know they had the injuries last year, but they still had the record they had and stuff. And I don't think it's like guaranteed they're going to come back and be that good this year. No more John Harbaugh either. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, new coach. How much does that coach matter? Jesse Minter, it's not like they're not familiar with him.
Right.
And he's very good, obviously a very good defensive mind. Close it out for you. 17, the Jaguars, 18, the Buccaneers, then the Vikings, then the Colts, Washington, Pittsburgh at 22, the Giants at 23. So if John Harbaugh is that important, why are the Giants only at 23? Falcons at 24, Saints at 25, then the Panthers, then the Titans, the Raiders, Cardinals, Browns, Jets, and Dolphins. Here's the reason I bring this up. The Lions play 8 of the bottom 10 on the schedule for Detroit. 8 of the bottom 10.
And with their own index, like if they're going to rank the Lions that high, it makes sense why they would if they're ranking those people down there that low.
You'll take it. Yes. Now that's, as we always say, prior to what we know these teams are. Fun to talk about, though, when it comes to football. When we come back, a pretty impactful observation from a newcomer regarding the Lions. We'll explain on the other side. First, let me tell you about DraftKings Sports. It is live in all 50 states. And that means here in Michigan, 2 teams left, 1 trophy, 1 possession, every fourth quarter swing, every clutch shot as well. DraftKings Sports app is now live throughout the state of Michigan. Whether you're catching the tip-off at home, whether you're watching Game 7 at a friend's house or at a bar, you can catch every minute of every game and every moment with just one app, and it is the DraftKings Sports app. New DraftKings customers, sign up with the code HUGE. Spend $5 to get $200 in rewards guaranteed. That code is HUGE, H-U-G-E, in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and want some help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Michigan only. Eligibility restrictions do apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see DKNG.com. This is a limited time offer.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community. Just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements, this center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch?
Okay, welcome back. 35 after the hour. Thanks for being with us on this Tullymore Thursday. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Some of the most overused words, I think, in sports: disrespect, impose their will. That's a phrase, not a word. Culture. Got to change the culture. Look at the culture. Perhaps we get too caught up in that. I think for the Lions, it's real. Here's how I think is more proof that it is real. Greg Dortch is a new member of the Lions. How important is he? I don't think he's going to be vital for their success. I think he's going to be an important piece, but how vital is he going to be for the success of the Lions this year? I'm not sure.
I think that's probably a player that a lot of fans would have said they forgot they even signed.
Yeah.
Now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, the most catches he ever had in a season was 52.
Right.
Which is fine. He's a possession receiver type guy. He'll move the chains every once in a while. He's not necessarily a red zone threat. I don't think he's ever had more than, was it 3 touchdowns in a single season? And that's been each of the last year. He started his career in Carolina, all right, in 2019. And then he spent the last 5 years in Arizona. So as a 28-year-old guy coming out of Wake Forest, not sure a lot of people look at Greg Dortch, who at 5'8", 180 pounds is an imposing figure by any stretch. But here's what he does know. He does know what it's like to be around an organization that does the right thing and the wrong thing. He told the Detroit News had a really good article about this the other day. This is his quote. He said, "The Lions are a good blanking team. I played them 2 years ago. They came to Arizona and they beat our ass." All right. Now it was a 20-13 game, but that was the year Detroit went 15-2, as you know. He said, "The coaching staff here has the most NFL players on a coaching staff I've ever been part of. You can just tell right away they take care of their players. They know what the blank they're talking about, and they're serious." I like that. I like that a lot. That's his observation. He doesn't have to be glowing and all this other stuff. It's an observation of his. Now, he's coming from one of the worst to what he would consider probably one of the best. He said, "I'm excited about this just to be part of something that's serious, where they take pride in winning. Losing is not acceptable here." And I haven't really felt that. Now, I don't know what that phrase means. It's not acceptable. Lions lost last year. They went 9-8. Was it acceptable? You had to accept it. I've always found that kind of funny. This is unacceptable. What are you going to do about it?
It's a funny way.
No,
to
I'm
think
serious.
about it,
I mean, so if it's unacceptable, or is it because, so they've relieved John Morton of his duties? All right. I mean, how many major changes has this organization made if it's losing's unacceptable, right? Certain players have moved on. Ram Glasgow, see you later. Certain players have come in, and you hope they pick up where a lot of the current players who define what this franchise is all about, where those guys leave off. So you hope that Cade Mays comes in and he's like, you know what? I know exactly what Brian Branch and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell and Aiden Hutchinson are all talking about. I get all that, right? And you've seen pictures, I'm sure, of Cade Mays and Tate Ratledge going turkey hunting together. That's cool, right? The immediate bonding that they have. I love that stuff. But it's an interesting observation. This is another interesting observation. Another text. Shep, you can say Brad Holmes has depended on Aleem McNeil and Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, similar to what Scott Harris did in depending on the same players, bringing them back and thinking they will be better now. Maybe in fairness to Brad, he had no choice. He had paid those guys already except for Branch. Now, okay, fair enough. When Scott Harris was talking about that, I think that's an excellent point. I never looked at it like that, and I'm glad you did. I appreciate that. When Scott Harris talked about those players coming back, who do you think he was referring to?
Riley Green.
Okay, but that's who. So Riley Green is that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Maybe Spencer Torkelson. I bet.
Yeah,
bet
I,
was
I, I
included
think
in
so. I
there.
think he was talking about Cole Keith.
Yep. Labor Torres, probably.
Sure.
Javi.
So Torres and Javi are the same guys we've seen here in Detroit. Green has been pretty steady. Cole Keith has been disappointing. We'll highlight the guys who aren't reaching that level. Zach McKinstry, who's not playing as well.
That was
as
definitely
he
one of
did
them.
as an all-star season,
mentioning.
right?
Yep.
If you're Brad Holmes and you're relying on a guy like Lee McNeil to come back and grab the form he had a couple of years ago, where he had 5 sacks, right? And he was wreaking some havoc in the backfield. And he was hitting the quarterback 10 to 12 times. You could understand why you would think that a guy at the age of 26, who in his first 4 full seasons was an impact player. I don't want to call him a great player. He wasn't Aaron Donald. He wasn't a guy who is making an all-pro team, but he was an impact player. You liked him, and I liked him too. Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, what would be so bad about Brad Holmes? And I'm not trying to give him a free pass here, but what would be so bad about Brad Holmes thinking that he's got a Pro Bowl player who just recently in 2024 was a Pro Bowl player, but his season last year was cut short because of injuries? I don't know if he's going to have 4 picks like he had 2 years ago. I don't know if he's going to have 3 picks like he had his rookie season, where he finished 5th in Defensive Rookie of the Year. But here's what I do know. If you said to me, are you counting on Brian Branch? I think any logical person, maybe not 110 tackles or whatever he had, but every logical person would say, yeah, I could see him making, when healthy, 80 to 100 tackles as a safety. And he made 75 his rookie year, and he had 109 last year. I would be counting on that too. Not just because I signed him to long-term deals, or Branch not, but because that's who they've defined themselves as. Kirby Joseph was an all-pro in 2024. And even before then, that was primarily because of his 9 picks. Even before then, he has proven to be a good player, tackling-wise and interception-wise. He had 4 picks his rookie year with 82 tackles, 4 picks his second year with 82 tackles, 9 picks to lead the league with 83 tackles as a first-team All-Pro in 2024. And then last year, only played 6 games, he got hurt. Would you, if you're the general manager, if you're the president of football ops, would you not count on that? That those 2 guys, with their production in the first few years of their careers, wouldn't be those same guys?
No, you'd have to. You'd
Absolutely.
be a fool not to. Yeah.
It's that is more of a pattern than what Scott Harris is hoping for from Zach McKinstry, who out of nowhere becomes an all-star, even though for years he's been a 220 hitter. That's fool's gold.
Exactly.
That's what that stuff is.
Yeah, I mean the constant calling Zach McKinstry an all-stars where it got at me. It's like, yes, he made the game, all right. He made it, but come on. There's more of a track record than just that half of the season. You got to be real about that.
And we don't have the definition of who Scott Harris was referring to when it came to, hey, listen, these are the guys. Just because they're the same hitters, just because the same guys are in the lineup doesn't mean that they're the same hitters. In other words, he was hoping that they would be better. Who do you think he was hoping would be considerably better? He was hoping Matt Vierling would be healthy, and Vierling has not been great offensively. He was hoping Torkelson would hit probably for a little bit higher average, a little bit better on base percentage, but the same power. That has not happened. The injuries you can never foresee. It's Colt Keith, it's Matt Vierling, it's Parker Meadows, it's Zach McKinstry, it's Spencer Torkelson. If all of us had said, you've got to change your lineup, I don't think anybody, when they were talking about that lineup, was suggesting you got to get rid of Riley Green or Dylan Dingler. It's the other guys you felt you needed to improve upon where they were playing.
And there was a
where they
lot
were
of people that felt that way about those players before the season started.
Correct. Now, to be a smartass, you could also say this. You felt that way about a guy like Spencer Torkelson 2 years ago, and then last year he hits 31 bombs, right? But you want him on base a little bit more than
that's been a
provide.
constant. That's been a constant no matter what.
Yeah, that has been a constant. And you know, how they swept Tampa is still mind-blowing.
And this weekend will be interesting now. Definitely something to pay attention to. Like if they play this good against Seattle, who has been hot, then maybe you're looking at something for this month being, better. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right on. And I'm not sure anybody expected what Kevin McConnell has done, right? 9 stolen bases, 21 runs driven in, batting .290. I wasn't so naive to think that this is a guy who was going to bat .300 all season long. I hope you weren't either. There was going to be some dips in that average at times because this is a long season against really good players, really good teams, and really tough spots. I've been super impressed with him. Super impressed. Not just because of the batting average either. I thought what he did, some of his defensive plays, taking his time, little things like taking your time, planting your feet, and all that other stuff has been really impressive. So I give him a ton of credit. Let's get to the final results of our poll question, shall we? We have a poll question for you every single day. It's the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day. And here's what we asked you yesterday. Who wins the NBA championship? Is it San Antonio or New York? And the Knicks won last night, coming from 14 points down in the second half to win by 10. Jalen Brunson had 30. What did the masses say?
And the Spurs at 64% and the Knicks at 36%. So, and that doesn't surprise me. I'd be interested to see how much it changed after game one, but I still think that the Spurs would have the edge in the voting. But
I would have voted San Antonio too. So I get it. But you cannot deny how impressive New York was last night.
I think last night was awesome for the series itself because now you're really I feel like everybody wants to watch.
It reels you in a little
exactly.
Bit,
like if you weren't interested at all, now you're like, oh crap! All right, let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, you're going to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Is it the same feeling with Vegas beating Carolina? 5-4?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think so.
And they came back. I might add, they were down 2-0 in the first. They're the first road team in 56 times. First road team in NHL Stanley Cup history in game one to be down multiple goals and come back and win.
No,
teams have been 0-55 prior to that.
I feel like I expect every game in that series to be good. No matter what. I'm excited for it for sure.
Yeah, same here. Well, okay, that's interesting. So people felt the same way we did with San Antonio. It'll be a good poll question. Maybe it would have been which series goes longer, the Stanley Cup or the NBA Finals? I should have asked that question. That would have been a good one. Oh, well, can't go back. Let's get to the Daily Wager, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort and their sportsbook Ascend. Really cool place to sit back and watch game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals tonight. And then maybe you got the weekend planned. You're going to Soaring Eagle. You're going to do some gambling. You're going to have a really nice time there. They've got some really good restaurants inside there as well. And you could go and sit down on Friday and watch the Tigers take on the Seattle Mariners in the first of a weekend series. Or you could shift your eyes to a little bit to the right or to the left and watch game 2 of the NBA Finals with the Spurs and the Knicks. That's Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, their sportsbook Ascend. How was your daily wager? How did it fare?
We got another hit. It was Landry Shamet. I had him making at least 2 3-pointers. It was plus money. He hit 3 again last night. So now in his last 6 games, he's hit that line with at least 3 3-pointers 5 times. So it's pretty good to take if they keep doing it, to be honest, if they keep giving you plus money for that. So tonight I'm going with Chris Sale. Everybody pretty much knows who he is. I'm just taking his strikeouts at over 7.5. It's at minus 105, so it's right around even. He's at 8 his last 3 games, and he's hit that line at least 5 his last 6 that he's pitched in. So
okay,
pitching against Toronto. For
I like how
matters.
you think this out, man. You're pretty detailed about how you're thinking it out, so that's good. That's really good stuff. Hey, before we go, The poll question today, the Mitch Lanswell poll question: which rumored players should the Pistons trade for? Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Trey Murphy, or Kassan Wallace? How would you feel about any of those? How would you rank them?
Well, I mean, you know our view. Trey Murphy would be number one for me.
Yeah,
there's
number one for me.
Almost no question about that. After that, though, it does get interesting because I don't have like a major opinion on which one I like over the other. I really like Kassan Wallace.
So do I.
I think I would go his direction after that. The other two, the age and stuff, is just the concern for me. I almost feel like Kyrie Irving, man, he'd be the kind of guy that I'd want him to get like the deadline because I worry about him not playing a lot of games or something. I feel like if you were to get him midway through the season or something like that, he would give you his best, like going into the playoffs, to try to push for another championship.
I like Wallace because Wallace is young.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But I don't think you'd have to give up as much to get him.
Yep.
The rumor is that if you're going to get Kawhi Leonard, they would want either Duren or Thompson in return. And that might be a tough pill to swallow. Look, I know how people feel about Jalen Duren. He's not worth $40 million. I'm not saying he is. You trade him, who fills that role? Please don't tell me Paul Reed. You just don't want him playing 25 minutes a game.
Yeah, for that many games a year. You're not.
No, you just don't. And that's okay. I mean, he's a really good role player. I like him. This has nothing to do with whether you like him or not. It's whether or not he's your starter, okay? If you traded with OKC, and OKC, they already picked up his option. But the belief is, Hunter Patterson had a really good article about this. The belief is that they might be trying to stay under the second financial apron, OKC. So what would you have to give up? You might have to give up a Ron Holland, an Isaiah Stewart, or a Karis LeVert. Now, remember, this kid's coming off the best postseason of his career. Would you give up any one of those three guys I just mentioned for him? That's a good question. The thing that concerns me most, and I shouldn't say most, but I mean, obviously, Kawhi Leonard's going to, what is it, $50 million? That's a lot of money for a dude who, and I think he's a really good player, so don't get me wrong, but he's going to be 35 years old.
Yeah, that's the answer to all of it. It's the money, what you got to give up, the age.
And I also look at games played. He has not played more than 68 games, but once in the last 8 years. Okay. And that's a tough one. Now, 68 games, you could say, oh, that's fine. You don't expect him to play 82 ever, do you? No, I guess I don't. He's never played 82.
Yeah, you're not.
Hell, he's played 72 once in his career.
Yeah, you better not expect that with him.
No. But 65 this year, 37 the year before. I think when you're this team, not that you need every single player to play a ton of games, but I don't want them missing a ton either. And I don't think that's too much to ask. Kyrie Irving, I think he's a hell of a player. He's going to be 35 as well. He's another guy who's been limited. Look at the last 4 years, 40 games, 20 games, 58 games, 50 games. You got to be available. It's a good thing to discuss. It's a good thing to talk about and a good thing to ponder. Thank you for taking some time and joining us today here on X's and Bros. We're glad you've been with us on this Tullymore Thursday. We're back tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock. Don't forget the huge show later on today at 3 on these same station affiliates.
Huge here for the Carmody Brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. They have some huge deals happening every week. Buy one boneless wing, get one free every Thursday. They also have their bottomless appetizers. Groups can get bottomless apps starting at $9.99, and they also have the Pick Six meal for two. Get 2 entrees, 2 sides, and 2 drinks starting at $19.99. That's happening at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Huge deals every week.
In the den. It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. There are a number of things that stand out for the Tigers over the last 3 days in Tampa. One is obvious, the Tigers' first sweep since brooming Kansas City in mid-April. Another is the offense. They scored 25 runs on 37 hits in the 3-game set. And then there is the play of Dylan Dingler and the start from young Troy Melton. Dingler has argued